कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकि कोकिलम्। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताया पतये नमः। जयत्याश्रितसन्त्रास ध्वान्तविध्वंसनोदयः प्रभावान् सीतया देव्या परमव्योमभास्करः परमव्योमभास्करः।
श्रीमते निगमात महादेशिकाय नमः। In the Yuddha Kandam, we are in that state where Ravana found himself very weak. He was so weak, looking at his stature, the charioteer of Ravana quietly took him and the chariot away from the battlefield. Meanwhile, Rama too looked visibly tired. That is when Agastya Maharishi came of his own and then gave him the most important hymn called as Surya Mantram or Aditya Hrudayam. While understanding Aditya Hrudayam, we did discuss in the previous episode the circumstances that led to the birth of Aditya Hrudayam, how Aditya, besides being celebrated in the Vedas, in the Mahabharata, in the compositions, is also venerated in Srimad Ramayana. While discussing about the Maharishi who gave Upadesham of Aditya Hrudayam to Rama, we did understand that Agastya, Agaha, Sthasyati iti Agastyaha, the one who controlled the growth of the mountains called the Vidyas, is called Agastyaha. We also did understand in Aranya Kandam, when the trio Agratah Prayayo Rama, Sita Madhye Sumadhyama, Prishtatastu Dhanushpanihi Lakshmanaha Anujagamaha. When all the three were walking in the forest, they took the blessings of Agastya Maharishi, who interestingly pointed them to a place called Nashik Panchavati by the banks of river Godavari in the current state of Maharashtra. That is one. Second, later we also find in the Ramayanam when the Vadaras go in search of Sita Mata, there is a clear description of the topography of the south of India given. There is a clear mention of Kaveri river, the river that we know of today, the holy river Kaveri, Dabhiv Janago, Jananyahaviyam, Srireva Putri Varaha, Srirangeshwara Netadarhamihakiru Kurvamiti Vakula, Chanchichamara Chandra Chandra Mahamanikya Muktokarat, Kaveri Lahari Karai Vithadati Devasahaiva Shriya. So Kaveri does find a mention in the Ramayana. Which verse is it? Here it goes. Tatahadam apadam divyam prasanna sarirashayan tatra drakshyatha Kaveri vikruta apsaroganehi. Then there is also a description of a mountain called Malaya Parvatam. And there it is said, on Malaya Parvatam is seated Agastya Maharishi, who is performing penance. After his austerities in penance and tapasya, he himself looks like the rising sun, it seems. Tasyasinam agre malayasya mahojasam drakshyatha aditya sankasham agastyam rishi sattamam. Agastyam, Rishi Sattamam, the head of all rishis, was seated there. That's it. We also understand that this is the place where Agastya was performing penance. That particular mountain in the south of India called Malaya Parvata is the place where Tamraparani, the river begins. The source of river Tamraparani is there. Tatatten abhyanujñādaha prasannena mahatmana Tamraparani graha jushtam tarishyatha mahanadi. So, Agastya Maharishi in Aranya Kandam, who was present in the lower part of Madhya Pradesh, very close to the foothills of Vindhya Parvatam, guided Rama to go to Maharashtra. Now in Yuddha Kandam, he has crossed the Setu and reached Lanka Pradesha, which means Maharishi Agastya has known the south of India quite very well, its topography very well, and has been going back and forth between Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. So how do we know he knows the Tamil culture well? How do we know that the kings of the south were known during those times? Here we have mention of a lady called Sunanda. She was the hairdresser of the princess of a region, and the princess was called Indumati. Sunanda, who is the hairdresser of Indumati, walks along with Indumati in the Swayamvaram of Indumati and introduces every king. While she introduces the kings, she introduces the king from Madurai, which is the southern city in the state of Tamil Nadu. Athoragathyasya purasya natham Dawariho devasarupamendya Itascha korakshi vilokayeti Purvanushishtam nijagada bhojyam. Then, as she introduces the king from the city of the snakes called Uragapuri, Uraganagarasya, Alavai, she also says that that region where the king is come from is very famous for pearls. Pandyoyava sarpidadambaharaha kliptangarago harichandanena abhadivalada paraktasanuno sanirjarodgara ivadrirajaha Vindhyasya sanstambhayita mahatre Nisesha pitochita sindhurajaha Prityashvamedhava vritadramurtehe Sausnatiko yasya bhavatyagastaha. So there it says that this king who had attended the Swayamvaram of Indumati in the north of India had just then completed the performing of Ashwamedha Yagyam at the behest of Agastya Maharishi. So even before Dasharatha's time, Agastya Maharishi was there, and he being associated with the south was there. So the south of India, Pandyapuri, Kaveri, Tamraparani, Malaya Parvatam, all of this was very well known in the north of India. People, despite not having the Google Maps and what all technology, the chat GPT and the AI that we talk about, were still aware of the topography. That's it. Agastya Maharishi is the one whose greatness has been mentioned here. That's it. Had there been Surya worship, the concept of worshipping the sun god in other cultures, is it very specific only to Bharata Desham and our own Vedic civilization that we celebrate and venerate and worship Surya Deva? Pratyaksha Brahmam is Surya Devata. Do we alone worship or other cultures also worship? With my little understanding and research, I would like to produce the details of where sun god is worshipped. Ritan, that's a temple for sun built around 500 years back in Jiangmen in Beijing, in China. So there is a temple for sun in China. In Egypt, the sun god is referred to as Ra. Ra. So is there a sun temple for Ra? Yes, there is. In Uset-Khaf, built by a pharaoh Uset-Khaf in the year 2500 BCE, which is roughly about 4500 years back, there was a Surya temple in Egypt. There is a Nusret, a sun temple in Egypt. In Mexico, south of North America, we have Temple of Cross Complex at Palenque in Mexico, built in the 700 AD, roughly 1300 years back. In Peru, there is Moyuk Martha, a temple for Inti, that is the temple that they talk about for Surya Deva. In Japan, interestingly, there is a temple for the wife of Surya Devata, Amaterasu Omikami, This is the goddess of sun. And then we have Ise Grand Shrine, Amarnava Shimenne Shrine, and then Amanoya Wato Jinga. So these are the temples of sun in Japan. Then is, of course, it's come to Bharata Desham. We have a beautiful Konark temple, sun temple built in Konark in Odisha by Narasimha Deva I of Eastern Ganga dynasty around 1250 CE, which is AD. Modhera Sun Temple in Gujarat was built by Bhima I of the Chaulunkya dynasty around 1026-27, roughly 1000 years back. We have an Harshavali Surya Temple in Andhra Pradesh built in the 7th century by Devendra Varma of the Kalinga. Then we have a Surya Pahar Temple in Assam. We have a Dev Surya Mandir in Bihar. We have the Navalakha Temple in Gumri, which is of the Maru Gurjara architecture built around the 12th century. We have a Surya Kund, a temple built in the 10th century near Faridabad in Haryana. We have a Martanda Surya temple built in the 8th century by Lalitaditya Muktapida in Kashmir. We have a beautiful temple for Surya Deva in a village called Adityapuram in Kadalkarutti at Kerala. Then we have Suryanath temple near Kumbhakonam built during the Chola Raji, roughly 900 to 1000 years back in the state of Tamil Nadu. We have a beautiful mention of the Multan, Moolasthana Surya temple in Pakistan. The place is now called Multan. Well, today you may not find the temple, but beautifully, two travelers have mentioned about that temple. One is Hugh Zan of the 641 AD, roughly 1400 years back. He has made a mention. He is a Chinese traveler who has made a mention that I have visited the Surya temple in Multan in Pakistan. Then the same temple was visited by the Uzbek traveler called Al-Biruni in the 11th century, who gives a glowing description of Surya Deva. Now, Bhojaraja has come up with a beautiful verse on Surya Deva. He says, Rathayekam chakram bhujagananidaha saptaturagaha Niradambo margaha charana vikalas sarathirapi Raviryatyavantam pradidinam aparasya nabhasaha Kriya siddhis sattve bhavati mahadam nopakarane. Here, Bhojaraja says, O Surya Devata, aren't you the inspiration for the entire world? Surya Devata asked how. He says, Rathai Yekat Chakram, your Ratham does not have four, does not have two, it just has one wheel called Samvatsaram. So you're able to effectively use your Ratham in just one wheel. Ratha Yekam Chakram Bhujagananidaha Saptaturagaha. What are those which are driving your chariot forward? Not one horse, 7 horses. Imagine controlling one horse itself is tough. Surya Devata's Ratham has 7 horses. You can see in the Surya Devata behind as well. You have 7 horses. And those 7 horses are held by reins, which are nothing but snakes. Snakes will be so slippery. Not 7 horses. Not 2 wheels, 1 wheel. 1 wheel the chariot, 7 horses, reins are the snakes. Then he says, Nira Lambo Margaha. The path is very unclear. It is the sky which is your path. Charana Vikalas Sarathirapi. Your Sarathi, your charioteer doesn't have any portion of his body below his thighs. He is a specially abled person. Raviryartyavantam pratidinam aparasya nabhasaha. But besides all of this, every day morning you rise and every evening you sit, thereby proving that a hard-working person, even if they have disadvantages, they can work to the best. Kriya siddhihi sattve bhavati mahata nopakarane. A very successful person will never take help from others. Like how Surya Devata, you don't take help from others, says Bhojaraja. What is Aditya Hrudayam, sir? We'll begin in the next episode.
Dear Astika reader, I'm happy to be authoring a 2-part book on the Ramayana in English. The first part is slated for release in the year 2024. The book aims to recreate and retell the Ramayana of Valmiki, conforming to the ancient commentaries and other allied literature. To receive notifications of the book release, kindly register with www.deshikadaya.org/books. Namaskaram.